Thank you. Niger News report President Buhari is in New York, USA to represent in the 77th United Nations General Assembly, while Osinbajo is representing Nigeria at the burial ceremony of Queen Elizabeth II in the United Kingdom. The question is, who is in charge of Nigeria as both Buhari and Osinbajo travel out of the country? Recall that some occasions see both the president of the country and the deputy have to be out of the nation at the same time. Such is the case with Nigeria at the moment, as both President Muhammadu Buhari and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo are out the moment, both out of the country. Onto this, who is in charge of Nigeria? Who Nigerians' number 1 and 2 citizens out of the country? Some people have raised the questions about who is plotting the country's affairs. It is paramount and all understood that the ability of the president or the vice president to discharge their constitutional duties is not affected by their geographical locations. Onto this, the country's constitution only mandates the transformation of power when the president is unable to discharge his responsibilities due to vacation, ill health, or death, and such vacuum need to be filled. However, when the president or the vice president is not affected by any of these constitutions, he doesn't have to be physically present to carry out his functions. According to Section 145, Subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution, whenever the president transmits to the president of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Assembly Representatives a written declaration that he is proceeding on vacation, or that he is otherwise unable to discharge the functions of his office until he dismisses to them a written declaration to the contrary, such function shall be discharged by the vice president as acting president. Meanwhile, by implication, though both Buhari and Osinbajo are currently out of the country, governance has not been stopped and they are still in charge. It is not a must to transmit power. A lawyer, Timi Alagunju, quoted by the cable to shed more light on the matter, explained that Nigeria's constitution does not mandate the president to hand over power simply because he is traveling out of the country. Meanwhile, he said the vacuum exists except the president declares it and communicates such to the National Assembly in writing. And as I speak now, a lot of people have said, as the lawyer agreed, that the president can eventually preside over the affairs of the country or the nation from any location without considering geographical barriers. On this note, his words reading bits. The Constitution does not specifically state that any travel means that the president must transmit power. That is why there is a clamor for the parliament to review the law according to global standard, because Section 144 talks of incapability, while Section 145 talks of vacation or in health or sick. It is the parliament that implies transmitting the power to the vice president as acting until he sends another letter to say he is back. Onto this, the constitution does not provide for a vacuum, except the president says that there is a vacuum. The president has to transmit an official letter. There are two instances in which this section has been raised: Goodluck Jonathan and Buhari's excessive stay in London. In the case of Goodluck, there was no transmission from Yar'Adua to him, but the parliament had to use the doctrine of necessity. On this note, if the president does not transmit officially, there cannot be said to be a vacuum. It means by implication that the president is still acting even though he has traveled. On a lighter note, he can preside virtually. On this note, if you say everything or everyone the president, or every time the president travel abroad, it becomes a geographical thing rather than a legal matter. That means if he goes to Niger Republic, he has to transmit power for presidential decisions. That is why we have the Federal Executive Council, known as the FEC. My wonderful people, in a case of emergency, meanwhile, it is further understood that should there be an emergency that makes the president or the vice president unable to rule the country, Section 146, of course, subsection 2 of the Constitution already makes a provision for the Senate president to assume leadership and set necessary steps in motion. But in the particular case, though both President Buhari and Vice President Osinbajo are out of the country, they are still able to fully discharge their responsibilities, and there is no vacuum in governance. Now people have taken upon themselves and the social media handle to say that my PVC day for my hand. Okay, but a lot of people are saying, well, my time is I'm the one in charge of the country. Maybe we are all in God's control. God is in control of Nigeria. Don't be afraid. As people are really terrified and say, this one Osinbajo and the president Muhammad Buhari, they are out from the country Nigeria. Who is in charge of Nigeria? And the people are commenting and saying both of them were never in charge. The truth has been that they are in charge before they left, and the question is, who is in charge of the affairs of the country in Nigeria? And Justice said, I'm in charge. Nigeria has been no autopilot since 2015. So whether they are not home or abroad, we know we are managing. My wonderful people, Osinbajo, who is Buhari, can be speak and the English day today. Well, the truth has been that we need to keep our comments straight, and the question is, who is in charge? Well, my wonderful people, let me hear from the comment section who you think that is in charge of the affairs of the country as it stands. And based on what we have martial out from the Constitution, it says that Buhari and Osinbajo, wherever they are, as long as they have not given any vacuum or any written note today, saying that they have left a vacuum, that they are totally in charge. Nigeria is back position. Osinbajo is in charge. How many arms of government do you know? And every of them have his own duties to perform, and all of them can save or serve in the absence of the president in due process, as it was provided by the constitutional laws. Well, my wonderful people, that has been onto this one. There has been anyone in charge except the canal. Was there any or was there really a government functioning in Nigeria? But many is still there. Who else would be more important and powerful than the president of the that has been onto this one, my wonderful people. We need to get it right this time. Nigeria has been on autopilot since 2015. So whether they are at home or abroad, we know how to manage. That has been my take, my wonderful people. Let me hear you on the comment section. Remember to say who you think that is in charge in Nigeria as it stands now, as both the officials, number one and number two, citizens and non-persons in the state, they are off. And now, who do you think that is in charge? It has been so far long. There is nobody in charge of Nigeria. It is run by instinct of many. That is why we have the course we are into. That has been my take onto this one, my wonderful people. Well, let me have your take from the comment section. Remember to support us and do well to please subscribe and share for more updates. Thanks and God bless.